Hey everybody, today we are working on our Unit 8 Solving Quadratics, Lesson 1, Solving Quadratics by Factoring. We're going to go ahead and write our name. Cool beans. So, today's objective states that given a quadratic function in standard form, students will be able to find all the solutions. Another word for solutions are zeros or x-intercepts. Algebraically by factoring. Okay? So our vocabulary, zeros of a function, the x values that make the y value or f of x value equal to 0. When you are looking for your x values or x-intercepts or zeros or solutions, your y value has to equal 0. In order to solve a quadratic equation by factoring, it must be in the form ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0. That means that your y or your f of x is equal to 0. When we are solving an equation set equal to 0, its solutions are called zeros or x-intercepts. Okay? Key concepts. Factoring can be used to solve quadratic equations. There will generally be two solutions. And I say generally because sometimes 2 isn't the number of solutions you'll get. Sometimes you'll only get one solution. And you'll see more about that later. Real world examples, solving quadratics can be used in terms of biking, throwing a ball, or creating a small steel frame. This is definitely applicable in your real world life. Let's jump to our examples. Example number 1. So solve this equation, x squared plus 10x plus 21 equals 0. Luckily, our first step is to make sure the equation is set equal to 0, which it is. Second step is to factor. So if we take this equation, we set it equal to 0, we are looking for two numbers that multiply together to give us this, but add together to give us this. So let's list our factors of 21. I believe it's 3 times 7 gives you 21. And it just so happens that when you add 7 and 3, it also gives you 10. So it looks like I found my factors. I know that the two things that multiply together to give me x squared are x and x. So I'm going to go ahead and put x plus 3 and x plus 7. And both of those equal 0. Now, third, we're going to use the zero product property. That just means you set both of them equal to 0. So you have x plus 3 equals 0, and you have x plus 7 equals 0. And then you solve for x. So we're looking for our zeros. So we're going to go ahead and solve for x here. Solve for x here. So it looks like our x value, so we have to give our answer as x equals something. We have x equals negative 3, and we have x equals negative 7. Okay? Pretty easy stuff. Example number 2 says to solve this equation by factoring. So our equation is already equal to 0. We're going to go ahead and find two numbers that multiply together to give us 8 and combine to give us negative 6. Now, factors of 8 include 4 and 2, 8 and 1, and that's pretty much it. So, but to get a positive number, I also know that negative 4 and negative 2 multiply to get positive 8, and negative 8 and negative 1 multiply to get positive 8. So using your calculator, let's see if when we add them, will they give us negative 6. This won't, but this will. And I don't need to check anything else once I find my factors. So to factor this equation, again, x squared is just x times x. So we have x minus 4, and we have x minus 2 is equal to 0. Then we set them both equal to 0. X minus 4 equals 0, and x minus 2 equals 0. We solve for x. We have x is equal to 4, and we have x is equal to 2. Example number 3. We're going to go ahead and find two numbers that multiply together to give us negative 15, but combine to give us positive 2. So factors of 15 of negative 15 are negative 15 and 1, or negative 1 and 15, negative 3 and 5, or negative 5 and 3. I think that's it. So let's combine them. Negative 15 plus 1 is not going to give us 2. Negative 1 plus 15 is not going to give us 2. Negative 3 plus 5 is going to give us 2. So we're going to go ahead and circle that. So our factors are x minus 3 and x plus 5 equals 0. We're going to go ahead and set them both equal to 0 so we can solve. X is negative 5 and x is positive 3. Last example, go ahead and try this one on your own. You're looking for two numbers that multiply together to give you negative 10, but add together to give you negative 3. Okay, and then you can set up your problem, because you know it's going to be x times x. You just need to know one of these has to be negative and one has to be positive in order for this to be negative and this to be negative. Okay? Your bigger number will be negative if the middle number is negative. And don't forget to fill out your summary section.